Well, all right. Hello, everyone. This is Tommy Cakes here from Small Scale Life Podcast. Glad you're here tonight. Welcome to the show. I am, just want to make sure that everything is going here. Here we go. All right. I'm recording at the same time because I have been negligent in getting my audio portion up on the Small Scale Life Podcast and putting it up on the app. So I got to do the work here, Tommy, and get it all done. And it's been really busy. Welcome to the Small Scale Life Podcast. We're going to talk about all kinds of things related to the harvest today. And it has been an exciting season of planting and growth. It's been an exciting year of planting and growth in many different avenues. And I've talked about that on the last two live streams. Sorry about last week. I had just a lot going on last week as we were getting ready to harvest some deer. So I was running around getting things together for Ryan and his hunting trip, and then also we had friends over. So it was just a busy time, and I was getting over an ear infection. So it just was like nothing was lining up right. So we decided to postpone this episode till today, and we're usually going to be broadcasting on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. But today we are doing a Monday show, and it is a great week. It's all about Thanksgiving, which is a celebration of the harvest. And so glad you're here. So glad that we're going to have a great week doing our Thanksgiving rituals with family and friends, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So today's episode is lessons from the harvest, and there's been a lot. There has been a lot of things we've learned, and if you're new here to Small Scale Life Podcast, talk a lot about gardening, talk about wellness. We're talking about river life along the river where we live today, and connecting with nature, connecting with people, and we're planting the seeds. We're starting to replant the seeds and start anew here at Small Scale Life. So this is the third episode since coming back. We had a long pause since March until September. March until November. You can tell my brain was back in September, but it has been like that. I mean, for whatever reason, my brain was a space case last week. I think it might have been the ear infection and all that stuff, but we're back at it. So lessons from the harvest today. Yes, and I am a gardener. We plant out our small scale garden here. We have a nice little garden on the banks of the Rollo River here in western Wisconsin. We're going to talk about some things, what worked, what didn't. We're going to talk about pollinator gardens. We're talking about herb gardens. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. But let's start to talk a little bit about harvesting first. And, as a gardener, it is so important that it's so much energy goes into planting your garden. It's like a farmer going out and planting the fields, and your gardener, you're planting, you're putting a seed in the ground, or you're putting a seedling in the soil. I mean, you don't always have to start from seed, right? You can go buy some this year. And this year I did buy some. But it is hope. You are putting your hopes and dreams into that ground, right? At the beginning of the season. And now at the end of the season, it is time to reap what you have sown. Right? Gather the fruits, gather the potatoes, gather the roots, gather the herbs, gather the ginger, gather whatever you've got. And it's time to celebrate, right? Celebrate and feast, just like the old days. And it's kind of funny. So I have tattoos. For years, I did not have tattoos, right? But now I have a tattoo. After Danny passed, I got couple tattoos, and one of them is very important to me, and that's this one right here. You can see that on my wrist. It looks like L7, but it's not. It is actually two L's, and one is inverted, and this means Jera. It is an Old Norse rune, and it means a few things. And I've got my little book here, and I'll tell you what that means. So Jera, Jera, Jera is the rune. And it's a big deal when you put a rune on your body. And this one is the harvest rune in Old Norse. It means fertile season or 1 year. And it's really a fertility rune, right? And it's Jera. I'm just going to read this here. Jera applies to any activity or endeavor in which you are committed. Any activity, right? Be aware, however, there's no quick results that can be expected. A span of time is usually involved. So you got to do the work, and then you've got to wait. There's a span of time. Hence the key words 1 year, symbolizing a full cycle before the reaping. the harvest or deliverance. I mean, think about it. We go through a whole year, right? The planning, then the planting, and then the work of summer, weeding and watering and taking care of the plants. And then we come into that fall time, the harvest time, and we harvest those seeds, those plants. They turn into something, right? The fruits of our labor. And we harvest that. And then we have to do something. We either eat the produce, sell the produce, or make something else out of the produce, right? We make dilly beans, we make salsa, we make tomato paste, tomato sauce. We do all kinds of things with the harvest, right? Or just eat it because it's delicious, right? So there is, and now we're in the feasting time. We're going to come into Yule. We're coming into Christmas, and it's more feasting. Thanksgiving is a feasting time. So we're going to enjoy the fruits of our labor and rest and share what we have. Abundance, right? This is an abundance of abundance coming from our hard work. So you've prepared the ground and planted the seed. Now you must cultivate with care. Didn't I just say that, right? So to those whose labor has a long season, a long coming to term, Jera offers encouragement of success. Success doesn't come overnight. In 95% of everything we do, it takes time, it takes care, it takes consistency and practice and mastery and work. The sweat of our brow, right? The get rich quick scheme is also probably a myth or some kind of shortcut. It doesn't usually work out very well for people who try the shortcuts all the time. So know that the outcome is in the keeping of providence and continue to persevere. We have to continue to work, right? Remember the old story about the farmer who was so eager to assist his crops, and he went out at night and tugged on the new shoots. Right? There is no way to push the river. The river is going to take you where it's going to take you. Right? There's no way to push the river. Water just flows. And we have to flow too. And pulling the shoots as they come up, the little seedlings, I'm going to pull because I want you to grow faster. We all feel that. Right? I mean, it's kind of like waiting for the Orioles. I'm like, come on, Orioles, return. Come on, hummingbirds, return to the north. But I can't push them along. And it's amazing how consistent they are. They come back on the 14th of May every year. It's a day or two, but it's sometimes the exact day. It's crazy. The plants, they're going to take about 7 days to germinate, maybe 10, or maybe a little longer if they're stubborn like ginger is. But they're gonna become in their own sweet time. You just got to be patient, patience, and work at it. Right? There's no way to push the river. Equally, you cannot hasten the harvest. Be mindful and that patience is essential. The recognition of your own process, which, in its season, leads to the harvest of the self. How about that? It takes time. It takes work. Be patient. Things are happening, right? Things are going to happen. And it's really funny because, I did. It's really funny because I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Pull up something here. Pull up something. Hold on for just a second as I do my thing. Okay. Now, that is the harvest, right? We're talking about harvest, but there's also a big part of it called, where we're looking at the seed. Okay. So this, we're going to remove that. I'm going to bring out of this. Oops. I want to add that to the stage. Here we go. So this here is my website. This is for Tommy Cake Seed, my little project that I started this year. Making seed cakes, making suet cakes, cylinders, small cylinders, using good ingredients, creating these little, we call them donut stackers that look just like a donut. I showed them last time. And oh, what's that? Well, that there is a very interesting logo, isn't it? That's the Tommy Cakes Birdseed logo. Okay. Now, you'll notice this image in the middle with the little bird sitting on it. It looks like a bird feeder. But that is actually another rune, and it is Ingwas, and it means the seed. So this is the start of the journey. This, Jira, is the end. Okay. So there is meanings to everything, right? And that's why, as a gardener, all of these things are so important. The beginning and the end, the putting the seed in the ground, letting it grow and mature, and then harvesting it. And then everything, the plants die, and we cut them back, and you're preparing the soil for the new year, and everything kind of goes into hibernation, into the deep sleep. Our lives are just like this as well. We're young, we're running around, the seed is planted, we grow, we sprout, we mature, we become a strong plant, we walk about the earth, we're harvest for our hard work, we reap what we sow, and then eventually we grow old and we join our ancestors across the bridge. This is life. So today we're going to talk about the good stuff, the harvesting, right? So we're back to that. This is actually a harvest. I'll show you some pictures of the harvest that we had. Things really were good this year. They were good and bad this year. We had the best of times, we had the worst of times, and we had some in the middle. So we'll talk about all that. We did have one cool harvest here this weekend. That's our little Janie girl. She's walking on her fence and bring us into the next topic here. So we were out deer hunting this season, or I wasn't. Ryan was. Ryan, my son, he was out deer hunting with my brother and some other folks, and they had a really good time. So while they were hunting, I was kind of the driver and the concierge. I was doing other things. I was exploring. So we have to get out. They have to get out in the woods very early in the morning before the sun comes up. But that allowed me to drop Brian off, get him in the woods. I could go explore and do what I do best. So this is a lake right down from the hunting land. It's called Peppermill Lake. And you can see the mist coming off the lake, and the sun was coming up. This was Saturday morning. And then I went down the road to a lake where my grandma had a resort. And this is called Jordan Lake, and this is on the western side of the lake. And the sun was just coming up. The geese were flying overhead. You can see them over here in the right side of the screen, and up above the lake there, you can see the geese. I'll have a video of this and put it on the YouTube channel. But what a glorious morning. This was Saturday morning. But guess what? It got even better. So, on Sunday, it was back to Peppermill. And we had another beautiful sunrise. Oh, there's some clouds. Is it going to look good? Is it going to be great? I don't know. We're going to see what happens. I mean, this was the day before, right? So, then I went down to Jordan Lake because, I wanted to. And I was there, and the sunrise was coming up, and it was like, okay. This is coming up at the landing there, and you can see maybe it's not going to do much this morning, right? Maybe it's not going to, maybe there's some, yellows and maybe some pinks. You can see as the sun's coming up, it was highlighting the underneath of those clouds in a nice pink color, which was cool, but nothing too remarkable. It was a nice morning, but hold on, folks. One thing that I've learned while waiting and watching for Northern Lights is be patient because good things are coming, and you just kind of wait. And the sun in the sky changed, and boy, did it change. I mean, it caught on fire. This is the same location. You can see the mist coming off the lake, the light. Oh, the sky just burned out red. It was gorgeous. I mean, so beautiful there. And it just kept getting better and better and better. And, where I kind of left it, I mean, I had some other things to do. So I went down to the place where this is a little cabin that my grandma owned once upon a time. She had a little resort there. There was another cabin that was right where this boat lift is. That cabin, there were a couple other ones up behind her house, and there's a couple other cabins to the left here, and it was right on the lake, and it was just a blaze of light, and what a beautiful place, and it's breathtaking. So we'll go into that another time, but this was my harvest, right? It was great to go. It was great to see this, and we're going to have a whole show on some cool stuff that happened there once upon a time. So that's for all of you that are going to be tuning in on the podcast. Without a visual, it's a small red cabin that's over 100 years old, right on the lake, and behind it is this glorious gold and orange and red sunrise. And so that was, for me, a real treat. Now, there was another real treat that I got to experience. Hold on a second, I'll bring this up. So in my time, I wasn't hunting, but I was seeing somebody else. I was seeing a friend. And for those of you who have been tuning into Small Scale Life for a while, you know this character, the great Modern Frontier man himself. It is Adam Rick from Modern Frontier Farms, and he and I connected. I went down and saw him. It was so nice seeing him again, live and in color. I mean, this guy is so good. He's so good at what he does, and it was just a pleasure watching him work at a winery. He had all of his things up there. We bought some product. The meat sticks are fantastic. I bought 2 packs, and they were just selling like hotcakes. So it was fun, and just connecting with him and talking with him and seeing my friend, I just loved it, and so thankful for having the opportunity to see him. Yes, there was a little bit of a drive, but it was all right. And it just watching him work, it was so great. He's got a really nice setup. He's got his products, all the prices, all the things, and he's got the coolers back there. It's great watching him work. So it was so fun. I want to remind you all that Mr. Rick from Modern Frontier Farm, he does have some very cool gift boxes, and you can get them if you order today, maybe tomorrow even. You can order them. He'll get them out to you, and you can have them for Thanksgiving. They're $47. I can tell you from experience, they are delicious. He's got his meat sticks. He's got a trout dip, crackers, cheese, and it's just so good. We had it last year for Christmas, and it was gone just like that. My brother, his daughter, my niece, they crushed it. And actually, both my nieces crushed it. And I barely got any trout dip. I don't think I even did get trout dip. So we're going to get another box this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. And when we do our Christmas gathering. So, so Modern Frontier, Mr. Adam, it's great working with him. And a light popped off here. And that thing is not done well here the last couple shows, so I'm not sure what that's all about. Maybe it's not got enough charge, but anyway, it's great seeing Adam. You can go to his site, modernfrontier.com, I believe, and let's see, just want to make sure. I get that correct. Yes, here we go. I'll show you the website. Getting better at this, right? It's been a while since we've done this. Here we go. So Modern Frontier, you can order online and work with Mr. Rick as well. He will get you set up and get all the good stuff. He's got his grass-fed beef. He's got pork and chicken, and just really nice folks. Lisa and Adam are great. It's wonderful working with them. You can shop right there and get all the things. Super good. So he's also got the farm store, which is down near Waukesha, Wisconsin. Halfway between Wales and Waukesha is the Modern Frontier Farm Store. And guess what's going to be there? Tommy Cakes Birdseed. So, yes, our Tommy Cakes are going to be down there. And I dropped off a big load of Tommy Cake seed for them. And they're going to be in the shop. So you can get Tommy Cakes there. You can get them from me off the website, off the Etsy shop, Tommy Cakes Seed Etsy shop. Going to have a big sale starting tomorrow, so feel free to order up. We'll make more, and I would be happy for your birds to have a great harvest and to share the love. So if you want to support the support the podcast and support us or support Adam, feel free to order up. We'll be happy to send you some good products and exchange gift for gift. And away we go. So, okay, that's That was a lot. But we're going to go back into lessons from the harvest. I've got 10 things that I kind of learned over the season, and some things I'm going to do more of, and some things I've already changed. We're going to talk about all that. Let's talk a little bit about what worked and what didn't work this year. For what did well, what did okay, and didn't do so well this year. So we really focused on things we eat this year. So we planted tomatoes, pole beans, bush beans, cucumbers. What else? About 4 different types of peppers, tomatoes. Tomatoes are always my favorite. Zucchini, acorn squash, delicata squash, and then herbs. We planted a lot of herbs. So we had some things that did well. I would say the pole beans did fantastic. I would say the bush beans also did very well. Let me bring up some images here. Here we go. We'll start with this one. We'll bring this one up here. So it was a busy garden. There's some things that changed. So what grew well? Pole beans, bush beans, jalapeno peppers, habanero peppers. That's the first time I've grown habanero peppers. Beaver Dam peppers did well. Herbs did super great. Basil, rosemary, sage, lavender. The chamomile did well, but kind of got crushed by all the other plants. And then the dill did really well too. And I really want to do more dill and get that incorporated into our wildflowers next year. We're going to do that. We also grew ginger, and that went really well. Got lots of baby ginger from that. It's a slow grower. You need to keep it in the shade, and hey, it fits really well underneath my deck, and it did really well. Once I figured out the whole shade thing, it just took off. It went. You can see the garden here. If you've been following me from last year and the year before, actually last year, this is a second year in the garden, but I had already made some changes. I know Jules gets really frustrated at me and she rolls her eyes at me too. So you can see back here, there's 2. So in the foreground, we'll start there. These are 2 wicking bed watering troughs. They're 260 gallon troughs. You can see the snorkel here between the row there. That's that snorkel. The water level is that high. And basically, a wicking bed, what you're doing is you're creating a reservoir of water underneath the soil. And then that water wicks up and the plants get to drink whenever they want. It's just like the aquifer in the earth. And we draw that water up and we get to drink whenever we want and turn on the tap, right? Our pump is pushing that up. There's no pump here. It just is naturally wicking through the soil. It's like it's like putting your towel or your t-shirt and just happening to drop it in a puddle, near a puddle of water. And suddenly that water is coming right up the fibers of your shirt or your towel, and your whole towel or shirt is totally wet at the end of that. Same principle here. I've figured a few things out as I've done this over the years to make it really work well or work better. So we had our bush beans in the around the edges of the watering trough. Some zucchini was in the north side of the trough, and then along this, you can see the cattle panel there. We had a cattle panel arch, and we had acorn squash on the east side or to the right of the picture, and we had delicata squash or winter squash, it's called sometimes, on the left side of the cattle panel. So the idea was that the squash would climb up and just fill in on this trellis. And this is the first year I've ever tried this type of trellis. I'm usually a big proponent of stringing them up. And this case, it was let the cattle panel do the work. And it really did well. It did great. And I was happy about that. Now, we'll keep talking about the physical layout of the garden, and I'll get into some of the other challenges we had. So the cattle panel was new. The troughs I've had for years, probably for 5 years, and the tubs work great. So the other gardens in the back there, I don't know if you can see this, and certainly I'll have to describe it for the folks on the app, but they look like tables, right? They look like a table. And last year I had what's called the hybrid rain gutter grow system, and that's like a platform that's waterproof, that the water will not seep out unless it goes to an overflow drain, but it has just a layer of water in there. And I have grow bags set up inside those tables, and they worked okay. I've had good luck with them. But last year I decided, you know what? I like the idea of having a big soil block rather than 20 or 18 individual 3-gallon grow bags. I want a bigger block of soil, easier to manage. If you're adding some compost tea or some comfrey tea to that, it's like, okay, I'm adding it to this big soil block. I'm not putting a little bit in 18 different grow bags. That's just me. It's just kind of, I'm trying to streamline and make things think more systematically and approach it from a systems perspective. So fire once, get it all done in one shot in that cell, in that big 2 by 6 cell. And then all that soil is taking all the same nutrients. So that's kind of what I was thinking. And also I didn't like the relatively shallow hybrid rain gutter growth table. It only had maybe ½ of water, and that dried out really fast. I struggled last year when I had some trips in August, in September, late July and August, when it was so hot. They just dried out, and the plants dried out too. So it was a struggle, and I really wanted to change that this year. So what I did is I've got some of these 55-gallon plastic tubs, plastic barrels, and these were cut in half already. Someone was using from her garden. So I developed a frame and legs for this thing to be freestanding. So worked out great. I turned them into wicking beds, and I'll do a whole show on how I did that at another time. So I had peppers, cucumbers, and bush beans on the west side, and then my tomatoes were in the east side of those. And then I had a couple tubs on the ground for potatoes. So that was my plan, to go at it with a full wicking bed system, 2 different types of troughs there, and everything was cooking along. This was late June, I think. Right here, this picture, things are starting to grow. One thing we had, and I thought I don't know where the pictures went, to be honest with you, but I had video and pictures of a hailstorm we had, and it was tremendous. It was a huge hailstorm, and it really hurt the tomatoes. The tomatoes got clobbered, and they just grew funny after getting hit by these. I mean, it was a big piece of hail, not quite golf ball size, but a little smaller than golf ball size. A lot of homes had roofs redone. Ours was pretty new and wasn't damaged too bad, but cars, houses, they all got damaged in the storm. And my tomatoes got damaged too. So they ended up kind of growing like a broccoli, like a broccoli stem. When you cut the head of broccoli and it's got this thing and then the tops, it was kind of like that. And they didn't produce as well as I expected. I'm pretty particular about my tomatoes. I can get them to produce a lot of fruit. And this year, just they didn't. I made like 5 jars of salsa. That's it. And usually I'm making salsa, I made tomato sauce. I usually make a bunch of salsa and tomato sauce. I just didn't have the tomatoes this year. So tomatoes were a little bit of a bummer. Another one that didn't grow well, I'll be honest, my zucchini didn't grow well. So one thing I fought this year were bugs. The bugs. So I'll show you, this is a sad photo, to be honest with you. That's one of my zucchini plants. Just did not do well. So you can see on the base and the stem there, it's all kind of chewed up. That is from squash borers. So we had squash borers eating it up from the inside. They get into the stem and they tunnel. They create all of this sawdust. It's essentially sawdust from the zucchini plant. And when your tomato is this, it's toast. So next year I got to do a better job about fighting those bugs. And then I had some other bugs that were plaguing us. Here we go. You're gonna love these. Ever see these before? These are little nasties. This is a squash bug. So I had squash borers drilling the stem. And then I had the squash bugs that were laying eggs all on the leaves and, eating on the the plants from above. So I was attacked from above and below. So this year was a real battle against the squash bugs and the borers, and I kind of lost. With the squash bugs, you can hit them with seven. It's a spray, and you can kill them, and I did, but probably didn't do it enough because it was a tough year. We did get acorn squash, we did get zucchini early, and we did get delicata squash as well. Probably could have got a lot more if got more aggressive with the bugs, and that was a real lesson learned because I haven't dealt with the squash bugs before. I've dealt with the borers before, but not the squash bugs. So we'll be looking at better ways of pest control next year. So yeah, so tomatoes got nailed by the storm. Zucchini got nailed by the bugs. The other squash plants, they struggled. They produced, but yeah, the struggle was weird. It was real. One thing, it just, I wasn't getting a lot. I mean, these are little cherry tomatoes, and usually cherry tomatoes are the monsters of the garden, and they just kind of weren't. But hey, there was a little feather that was in this cluster, and that was kind of cool. I thought that was cool anyway, so I took a photo. It's a gift that keeps on giving. So what else did we have going on? I'll give you another look at the tomato bed here. So this is the tomato bed. I was starting to prune. They had, this is right before they got nailed by the hailstorm, and I was stringing them up on the trellis. So the way this works is I wrap the baling twine around the stem of the plant, and then up high, about 6 or 7 feet in the air, is a conduit, a 1/2-inch conduit. So I wrap it around there, and that just supports that tomato plant and keeps it growing up. And because the trellis goes in a V out this way, or the pipes are further out than the base of the garden bed, I can get those plants and get some more airflow in there and really reduce the chance of mildews or other fungus that'll strike your plants if the air doesn't flow through there. So yeah, tomato beds just didn't do what I wanted them to do this year, and that's okay. Well, we learned from that, and I've already made some changes for 2026, so we'll show that in just a minute. So what else did we have popping? Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, otherwise, no, I don't want that one. I had a picture here. Beans did well. Lots of produce pictures now, right? So made dilly beans out of our beans. So that was great. And I supplemented that with a local farmer, the Back 80 Farm. They're a farm that's just down the road here. The Dittmans, they are great folks. And we just got a lot of great produce from them. But we were getting a ton of jalapenos. Our cucumbers, not so good. They were funny. What do I mean by funny? They were the ones that are like a blooper, right? They're they're like round, or they're weirdly shaped, like this one right in the middle. It's kind of like I don't even know what kind of shape that is, but it wasn't pickle making stuff. So we ate them. They were great tasting, but they just weren't what we were looking for. This is not the cucumber we were looking for. We had 2 different varieties, kind of a English cucumber and a pickling cucumber, and yeah, there were no pickles made out of these this year. So what are you gonna do? I think part of that too is one of the issues we had was how I was trellising those this year. I was using the fence as a trellis, so the outside fence, and we have deer here. And the deer would come through and they'd nibble on the plants, they'd nibble on the fruit, and these just didn't grow well. So I'm going to have to work on that next year. And I think what I'm going to do is, I know what I'm going to do. I've already made the change to our garden beds. So this is where I had the tomatoes last year. And I've already, because that cattle panel works so well, I kind of created a new kind of trellis. Almost looks like a V, and it's going out from a conduit that's in the middle of the bed. It goes out and connects the conduit on top. So I'm just going to use that fencing and use that as a trellis, keep everything growing up and away from each other. And I'm planning to put cucumbers and peppers in this one. So we'll see how that shapes up. And the deer won't nibble on anything. They won't get it to eat anything. And then we'll have, just a good place away from the deer for the cucumbers as well. Who knew they'd eat them, right? They just eat everything. So it was an interesting year for cucumbers for sure. I think, one of the things that's always a struggle is what to do with your produce, because it all comes in at the same time. So I did figure out some really good recipes for the habaneros and for the jalapenos. And so I made sauces out of those, and hot sauces. And the jalapeno one it tastes like kind of the like the green salsa you get at a restaurant. It's super good and it's so easy to do. And I had so many jalapenos that it just was a breeze. So really love that recipe. And for the habaneros, I thought it was pretty hot. I'm not going to lie. I like hot stuff, but those were super hot. So what I did is I've created 2 types of habanero sauce out of those. And I'm using those in the Tommy cake. So these babies have habanero pepper sauce in it. And that is to deter the squirrels and the chipmunks and any other mammal that wants to take a bite out of those. I'm really trying to deter them with hot stuff. The capsaicin doesn't bother them, but they will, the capsaicin doesn't bother the birds, but it does bother the mammals. So they will not be so inclined to eat those. And I think, kind of like us, I think some of the critters over time kind of get used to the hotness. So we're going to be playing around with that a little bit some more. So what else did we have going? Well, it was good. Jules, I got to compliment Jules. She was helping a lot this year in the garden, and it was a lot of fun to have her go out and pick. And this is a beaver dam pepper, and she also had her herb garden. And it was so much fun to do the gardening with her. Usually I'm just on my own doing my own thing, and she was excited to get in there and pick things and kind of check things out. So I really appreciated her working on the garden this year, and it was a lot of fun. It can be a lot of fun with your spouse, right? And she helped me come up with what we're going to grow this year. And, also when a couple things didn't sprout right, she's like, just go buy the things. We don't have time to waste trying to grow it from seed again. So some of the tomatoes were store-bought this year, and I was totally fine with that. So this was her herb garden, and it's a 2x4 watering trough that used to be a hog feeder. So that's what this slot is up front, is where the grain used to come out, or the corn used to come out for the hogs. But she packed it. It was full of herbs. So lavender and sage and rosemary and chamomile and basil and dill back there. I mean, there was so much in there, and it took a direct hit from the hailstorm too, but it did okay. But there were so many great herbs in here, and she harvested them off, and there's some drying in the creation station right behind that wall behind me right now. So it was really fun. And I got her little hummingbird there, and hummingbirds are a thing, of course, but it was really fun to see the herb garden grow. The ginger was right behind this, in the shadow of the deck. And ginger is a slow grower. And if you think about it, it's growing in the tropics underneath all the trees and the bushes there. So it's a root, and it grows horizontally, not vertically. So this was a really good spot. I had it in direct sun, and it did not like that. But as soon as I got it underneath the deck and just kind of cared for it a little better, it took off and did really well. So I was just super excited about that. And I'll be using that to flavor kombucha going forward. So that was the herb garden. We also here at the landing have a lot of other kinds of gardens going on as well. So we do have pollinator gardens. And, we have some great, we've got our lilies. We've got, we'll just start bringing these up because I just kept taking photos of them and then, I wouldn't post them. Just all kinds of stuff. And a lot of these are planted from the former owners. The folks that used to live here. And it's just so great to have these come up. We had hibiscus planted, and we had gotten hibiscus plants from others, and they just didn't come up. For 2 years they came up, and this year they just did not come up. And that was really disappointing because they were beautiful plants and the hummingbirds liked them. But we got some other things growing. So bee balm. We were big fans of bee balm. We want to bring in those bees. We have the fire engine red bee balm as well. These are up. The lilies are alongside the shoreline. These plants that I'm showing you, the bee balm, the black-eyed Susans, these are up in our street side pollinator garden. And here we've got some cone flowers. And everything is just really starting to grow. So we got this nice little area around a free library. And really excited and thankful for the community because they have been stacking and packing books into the free library. It's been great. And these flowers are all around it. And it was just great to release some butterflies that we had. I'll show you. We've got milkweed, and we found a lot of these guys. Lots of monarch caterpillars, and that was so exciting. Our friend Gretchen, she was kind of our butterfly whisperer, and she was helping us along, just telling us, what to do. And we actually had 5 emerge. But we had a bunch of these caterpillars. It was fun to watch them. It was fun to watch them turn into monarchs. And it's awesome that we had so many this year. And I'm hoping we get more as we do more projects and get more pollinator plants in here. The zinnias, we just had a small patch, and the monarchs were all over them. The bees, the monarchs, and they lasted until our first frost. So they did really well, and even a little beyond the first frost. So they did great. And we want to bring up, this is a project for next year, is we are going to have this split rail fence. We're going to have pollinator zinnias all along this fence, and it's going to be really pretty. So I'll have to get a rototiller and till this up and plant it. We've also got some bee balm that is over by the big bird buffet. That's that bird feeder on the right, the white one there. You can see this big clump of green in the middle of the picture, just beyond the big bird buffet and before that other post. That is comfrey. And we have 11 comfrey plants that we got from Aaron and Nate LeMaster from Two Chicks Homestead and School in Homestead. And it has done just awesome. It's beautiful comfrey. Notice that some of the leaves had been chewed right before the final freeze here. The deer must have been chewing on it a little bit, but we are so thrilled to have this comfrey on our shoreline, sending those roots down. And it just was like little plants just slowly growing. But once those roots hit the water line or some of that deep, rich soil, they took off. So we even had flowers this year. We're really super excited that they're going to be back and even better next year. So that's just the way the pollinator gardens work, right? So we're just going to keep adding to it. We put some more bee balm right in front, like between the big bird buffet and the split rail fence, actually closer to the split rail fence. There's some bee balm in there now, and we're just going to keep building, little bits by little bits. This shoreline just needs to be for the pollinators and the birds and the hummingbirds. And, yes, we have the squirrels, but, it's great to see all the other creatures enjoying those plants and flowers, and it makes me smile to see everything grow. So, we've done a lot here. We've done a lot of work to the landing, and we're seeing the benefits. Young eagle here coming in, all the different birds that have shown up, and the squirrels and the deer. Yes, the deer, but we've got to be smart about what we plant out there. Some things will be sacrificial, other things will not. But it's really exciting to see some of the stuff we're putting into place is starting to bear fruit, right? It's starting to attract more pollinators. It's starting to attract different kinds of birds. I mean, we saw the season, and it's on my other camera. I didn't grab that, but we saw our first bluebirds here. 3 bluebirds came in. They were migrating, but they stopped here and they rested here for a little bit. So that's exciting, right? I mean, what can we do to attract more of those here? And we have all kinds of friends that stop by every day. Our friends Priscilla and Elvis, the Cardinals, right? And the bluebirds and the juncos and all of the birds. Of course, does help that they have some really yummy goodness here. So I think that is the story, right? I think that's the way we're going to be going about it is, we're just going to keep doing the work, keep adding to what we're doing, being consistent. I think that's so important. Rome wasn't built in a day, and we're going to just keep adding to the creatures here and by putting in plants and habitat. This is going to be kind of a backyard bird sanctuary, right? And why not? Why not do that? That's pretty cool stuff. There was one visitor here, and I'm looking for the photo as I stall a little bit. There was one set of birds that was really exciting because there were like 3 or 4 of them. And where is that picture? Gosh darn it. Nope, it wasn't that far back. We had northern flickers show up. And, it's another one of those cool birds that checks in, especially in the winter. Here we go. So this was in October. These 2 showed up, and these are northern flickers. They're a bigger woodpecker. So you have the pileated woodpeckers that keep coming by, Wanda and Woody. There are pileated woodpeckers, and they really love suet. We have the red-breasted woodpecker, right? And then we have our downy woodpeckers and our hairy woodpeckers, and those are the little ones that are striped. But then we have these folks. These are the northern flickers, and they're so cool. These birds are sweet. And they are a ground feeder, but they were visiting here at the landing in early October, and they'll be back for suet. They came in last year for suet, and that was the first northern flickers I've ever seen. Just like the bluebirds, right? They come through, they were stopping through, and that was the first bluebirds I've ever seen in my life. And it's so exciting to have those birds coming in and checking in, and even if it's for a little bit, it makes me happy and brings me a lot of joy. So yes, do the work, right? I guess in closing, do the work. It's going to take time. It's going to take showing up. It's going to take doing just the repetition and the things when you don't want to, right? You just got to keep showing up, and you got to keep doing the work, and you kind of, as others have said, it sometimes it just seems monotonous and like nobody's listening and nobody's watching and nobody's buying, but it can all change for you. It can all change in just an instant. You got to keep going, keep going. You're going to make it. And I think that's one of the things that's, living by the river and thinking about our journey and, doing all this work and all these things. We're not the same people that we were, we are new seeds were planted and starting to turn into something. So, keep doing the work, keep showing up for yourself. And even if one person checks in or one person sees your podcasting and shows up, that's cool. I'm going to keep going because it's fun. But I hope you have a great week. We'll see about Wednesday. I might be able to come back and do a show on Wednesday. I've got a sale going on Tommy Cake seeds. So go over there, buy some bird seed. Especially they make great gifts, make the boxes look pretty, and they'll arrive on time, and we'll really enjoy your birds will really thank you for that. So we'll see you perhaps on Wednesday, and I've got more things to talk about, more stories to tell. Thanks for tuning in. This is Tom. This is Tommy Cakes from Small Scale Life Podcast. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. And we'll see you all real soon. Take care, everybody.